Oh, frick. Oh yeah, here we go. There we go. Okay, that should be good. Okay, we're live now. Cool. Sorry about that. Some reason my computer lost the drivers for my microphone. Hope everyone's good. Having a good weekend. First time back doing this for like 6 weeks, I think. Yeah. Anyway, been in New Zealand, Australia, New Caledonia, Saudi Arabia, Copenhagen, Denmark. Yeah, exciting times, but good to get back into the kind of regular scenario with like regular videos and regular live streams. So yeah, we'll be back in action. Thanks to everyone who sent in tracks. There's a lot. I think I received about 30, a little over 30, and pretty good hit rate on the ones that were able to be downloaded. I think there were about 5 that either had downloads turned off or the link didn't work. So everyone who submitted a correct track that I was able to download, I sent you an email reply saying that I've got it. So if you didn't get a reply, then better luck next time. All right, so we better get into this because we've got a lot of tracks. What we're going to do is go through, I'm going to kind of go through the tracks maybe a little bit quicker than usual because we're trying to fit in a few more. We'll see how we go. I'll kind of try and, yeah. It could be that the last ones get a little bit less attention if we're starting to run out of time. But we're going through till 5 p.m. Just put the phone over here. All right. So let's just rock and roll. Ushando Lupinte, spooky. I'm not sure if that's a typo, but that spooky's got a lot of O's there, bro. Let's roll. You guys can hear that, the music? So the beat and stuff is really cool. The beat, the bass, everything's really cool. And I think the melody of this lead sound that you've got here is also really cool. I like the fact that you're kind of bringing in like a new layer to keep it interesting, keep it kind of building up. But I feel like the sound selection or the sound design is a bit lacking. It kind of sounds a bit like, I don't know, something kind of wacky like Melbourne Bounce or some kind of like slightly cheesy hardcore kind of sounds. Like, I think, yeah, they're just the sounds just aren't quite cutting it for me. But I think that's an easy solution. Just keep, I don't know, flicking through some presets, find something that's, or just try and get an idea of what you think might work, and then find something that's kind of in the ballpark and tweak it a bit, you know. Yeah, but I think you could put a bit more time into finding the right sounds for that lead. Right, so I mean, yeah, going through my first comments still stand. I think what you've got there is like a super good foundation, and the like melody and stuff is really cool. I think you just need to find the right sounds, and it's going to come together and probably be one of the best tracks that you've sent in. So you're in a really good place, but it's, from my opinion, it's just not quite working at the moment. All right, let's jump into the next one. Now, I don't know what this is supposed to be. I'm pretty sure the dude's name is Amir, but Avmr, AVMR, F. I think that's something that's kind of important to keep in mind when you're coming up with an artist name. It's like, are people going to know what it is? Like, are people going to understand it? Are people going to be able to say it? Have you heard the new Avmr F track? I don't know. I have the same problem myself. Whenever I'm DJing in Germany and someone comes up to me and says, "Hey, I like what you're doing. What's your DJ name?" And I say Dilby, and they're like, "Oh, cool, Toby." Amar. Okay. Right, so it's like an abbreviation of Amar. Yeah, I don't know. I get where you're going with it then, but it's like, or Amir. Yeah. Okay, I get where you're going with it, but it's a bit confusing. But yeah, anyway, every time I'm DJing in Germany and someone asks me my DJ name, they think I'm called Toby. Anyway, let's have a listen to Amir's track. Hey, Albuquerque.
I do not know my way, but I will burst into the flames till I get I get it. Be tender, be so bold. I did not see either light, but I got a taste for what it might be like. What's that good or feel bad? It's just natural, baby. Let them care if they can. We're just animals, baby.
Right, so this I think has a really cool vibe. I think you've got sounds there that work really well together, but the arrangement is just a bit, you know, like it sounds like it's a like an edit for Spotify or something, the way that everything comes in, but it's not. It's like 6.5 minutes. So what I would recommend is referencing some other tracks on the arrangement, because everything just comes in way too quickly, and like you're bringing in things and then taking them out, bringing in something new, taking it out. And if I'm playing this track as a DJ, I like doing longer mixes, so I definitely wouldn't be bringing it in by 1 minute here. You know, like that would be the first moment where I might kind of kick this track in, but based on the arrangement I probably wouldn't be dropping it into here, or dropping it in maybe at the break here. So what you want to do is like build this up just a bit more gradually. You don't need to bring in all these melodies and vocals and stuff right from the start, especially in this kind of arrangement. Just bring it in gradually, and then, because by the time you get to here and you've kind of dropped everything in, you've already led away so much of the game, right? I mean, this sounds really cool with this new lead that you've got coming in, but I just think try and do this a bit more smoothly, with a bit more yeah, I don't know, just take it easy. You don't need to give away everything before like 1 minute, 1.5 minutes. Just reference some tracks that you like in a similar style, that, and see how they build up. Like I think you could really build up with this more kind of cool, easy beat, and then bring in the piano chords, and then by the time you get to this breakdown, then you bring in the vocal, right? Then you change it up a bit after the drop, then you maybe bring in the piano chords again, then you can bring in this like bass lead, something like that. You know, it's just, I think it's too much too soon, and it doesn't leave enough for the listener. Let's see how it develops. But
I get it. Be damn, be so bold. I did.
so this new kind of trancey kind of chord progression RP type thing that's come in, I think it's a really cool element. It sounds nice, but I don't think it's necessary, especially if you work on the arrangement. I feel like it's actually detracting from the main kind of essence of the track that you've built up before then, which is a good thing, because then you've got a cool element that you can use in another track. You could literally go and start a new track and base it around that chord progression and that element. But I think, yeah, just work on the arrangement, get the arrangement working in a bit more of a kind of functional manner. You know, keep this as an intro and this as an outro, with more stripped back kind of stuff. You know, just kind of maybe teasing a little bit of the vocal, or teasing a little bit of the main kind of melodic elements in there, but not giving it too much away, so that when a DJ mixes it in, it has some impact. Nice beat, love that. think you could have used something like the beat. It's got this kind of like old school tech house, like not modern tech house, like old school tech house kind of vibe. And I think you could have used something a bit more interesting than just a white noise sweep there. Even just a reverse cymbal or something like that would just fit a little bit nicer. Those like big stabs that you've got there, I think they're a bit too loud. They kind of just jump out of the mix a bit much. I think there's a fine balance. I think it's important to be bold with some elements and like have them really like forward in the mix, but at the same point there's like a little bit, you can go a little bit overboard. There's like a fine balance there. With that female vocal that's coming in, I would probably, if it was my track, I would probably put a filter on it and just kind of have it coming in even more gradually. But then when you're doing that, you want it to go somewhere and say something and have some impact. I feel like for the beat and the other elements, that the bass line is a bit intense. It's kind of like a, almost like a dark techno kind of bass, and I think just having something a bit groovier, like the melody sound that just came in, the sound and the pattern sounds like something that I would use in one of my tracks, so I really like that. But the bass is kind of throwing me off a bit. I don't know, I'm not sure entirely what you're going for here. I could be totally barking up the wrong tree, but I feel like if you put something that was a bit more groovy, maybe with a bit more of a mid-bass sound than being so subby, you'd be I'd like it more anyway. Yeah. So in this break, it's cool. It works kind of, but you've got two sounds, like this kind of lead sound, melody sound, and this vocal that are both building up and both sitting in a very similar place in the frequency spectrum. So they kind of start cancelling each other out. So yeah, I would suggest like just kind of simplifying it a bit. Maybe keep the synth as it was and use the vocal to build up, or vice versa, like hold the vocal back a bit. Maybe just have like one part repeating instead of bringing in the kind of full verse chorus bit. Just use like one word or something like that, repeating, build that up with some reverb and stuff, and then let it play a bit, and then you've got more substance from the vocal to kind of carry on with. Yeah. So like think about, instead of using those two parts in the same way, like the vocal and the synth, instead of using them in the same way at the same time, use them in that way alternating, so that you build up with the vocal and then you take the vocal out, and then you build up with the synth and you take the synth out, and you know, so it's kind of, It just keeps it more interesting. If you use both at the same time, then what are you going to use next time? I assume you're going to use both again, which makes the track seem less kind So with the synth, have it build up, but then have it come back down again. So it's like more like that, you know, just use the automation more to create little peaks and troughs in the energy. Now this sounds like it's got more, you know, the synth is sitting here, you've got this sustained vocal here, and then you're using this vocal stab to help create tension. Yeah, it's a tough one. Like it worked up till there. I know you want to use this like main part of the vocal, but it's just there's not enough space for both. I don't feel like. Sometimes that's, you know, it's kind of like putting together a puzzle. You know, just finding you've got the pieces and you just need to find them the right combination of how they can sit together to all work in harmony. I think you've got all the elements for the track. I think it's really dope. I would suggest having a look at the bass line. I think the bass line's maybe a bit over the top, but that's a personal preference thing. And then try and figure a way so that the vocal elements and the melodic elements can work in a bit more complementary rather than kind of fighting against each other. Okay, Tommy Ha, Tunnel Vision. So when you dropped that bass line in there, it felt a little bit underwhelming. Before, everything was building up so nicely, and I think the bass pattern just fights against this plucky lead synth that you've got. Like everything was kind of like building up in this really kind of classy, understated way. And I think the bass line is kind of doing too much. It's too complex. I think you just want to like have something there that just underpins the groove and keeps it pushing forward. I think this is a mistake that people can make, is trying to, because producers tend to focus on like, oh, that's such a sick bass line, that's such a sick bass line, oh, how do you make a bass line like this? I think at some point you kind of realize like that you can have a bass line that's like the hook of the track or the memorable thing, but if you've got other things that are playing that role, then the bass line needs to play a supporting role and just kind of push the low end and create the groove. Yeah, it may just be my taste and what I expected to happen there, but Let's see. I really like this ARP that you've got, doing like a polyrhythm or a polymeter or whatever it's called. Really nice. Really, I don't hear that kind of thing used enough, especially by like less established producers. I think it's something that can, like using that kind of thing, whether it's on a lead or a percussion or an ARP or something, having something that's not repeating on a 1, 2, 4, 8 bar loop, something that's repeating on a different kind of loop that goes across the track, and it just kind of changes your perspective of timing. Yeah, I think this is sounding really cool. I guess you're going for like a sud beat kind of progressive house kind of vibe. Really nice sound design in here. Sounds really professional. I think it's well done. I just feel like some of the elements are kind of fighting against each other rather than working together. It's not bad. There's just like a few things that, I don't know, could be a bit more harmonious in the groove, I feel like. But in general, really cool, well executed track. Yeah. Really nice build up, creating the atmosphere there, Luca, and I like the fact that you're using a less obvious kind of breakbeat. Yeah, it's really cool. Nice, really nice atmosphere in there. I would have liked something there where you kind of had this little fill and stuff, like a little growl or something to kind of give it a bit of contrast against the ethereal kind of washy nature of the atmosphere. sides might be a touch loud, but I've got to say this is like probably one of the standout tracks that you've sent in, and I think you've probably sent in a track for almost every track feedback so far. It sounds really sophisticated and really well executed, man.
Just tell me now.
Nice, man. That really just ramps it up a whole nother level with that lead coming in, and I really appreciate the way that you held that back. I think that's something that's like, you know, it can be very tempting, especially when you've got a cool element like that that brings so much to the track. It can be really tempting to just chuck it in straight away. I really appreciate the way that you've left that till so much later in the track. I really like also some of the detail you've got on the sound design. It sounds like you're using maybe crystallizer or something there with these like reverse delays. Maybe it's guitar rig or something. Yeah, really good, really fucking cool. Well done, bro. I hope for you that it gets signed to like a really good label. Really like those congos. Oh, that's crazy, Ableton stock delay. I would have thought it was something different because it sounds like it's reversing the delays. I honestly thought this was going to go in a different direction because like when the beat's coming in, it sounds quite kind of pushing and clubby and a bit dark and driving, and then you bring in all these quite ethereal sounds. I think you could have, I don't know, it's your track, but I think you could have made it into a bit more of a banger. Really nice little fuzzy ARP sound there that you've brought in. Love it. I think that kind of tension point there where it builds up could be half as long. I think for the vibe you've created in the track, I assume it's going to be like a more of a warm-up kind of thing, and I think that just having that amount of time where the crowd would just be standing still waiting for something to happen, I think you're better off to just get to the point a little bit sooner, to be honest. So for the elements that are in the track, I feel like the percussion could be a little bit more like present, a little bit more mid-rangey. I really liked it when you were bringing it in at the start, but I feel then you've got all these kind of darker, washy, low mid-range chords and stuff. It needs a bit more punch from somewhere. Love that harp sound. In general, pretty cool tune. Well done. I wouldn't say that it's super memorable, but yeah, it's a cool filler for like an opening set. And like nothing terrible to say about it, you know. It's like it's good, it's well done. Yeah, I think it's the way I write music, but I think it's always important, especially in the it's so competitive releasing music now. There's so many people doing it. So I think you always want to keep that in mind, like what makes this track special, what makes this memorable, why is a DJ going to play it, a label going to sign it, a person going to add it to their favorites or their playlist on Spotify, you know. Really solid stuff here, bro. It's giving me these kind of like old Luke Chable kind of vibes from early 2000s. So that there is so everything's kind of like been done pretty well until that point. It's just a little bit obvious. I would say put a bit more thought into how to do that kind of, and what I would do is I would build it up, and then here I would take that lead down to create contrast. So have it keep building up, and then here like maybe open up the bass or something, and then take away the lead, so it's like, and it's going to shift between those points, which is going to create a kind of a level of excitement. So you've kind of done the opposite to what I'm suggesting, but it's kind of building up here. Then you've got this little tiny short gap where the lead tapers out and then it comes in more powerful. I think it's not quite creating the effect that you want it to create. It would be more effective taking it out, I believe. And maybe you could put something else in there, put like a held string, a big growl or something like that, and then just kind of have this heads down groove section. Again, the transition there was too harsh and too sudden. Add some delay and reverb or something, create like more of a washy spillover effect into that, so that it all kind of like comes up and then is slowly dissipating to kind of nothing.
I see right through you. All the way. I can't get enough after all this time.
Nice kind of triplet or something on that lead that you've brought in there. Sounds cool. It was unexpected, which I think is an important thing to have in your music. Is like having something that you wouldn't expect, but also kind of signaling towards that so that it doesn't feel awkward. And you've done that well here. And then you kind of resolve back to the original melody, which is cool. So I think just work on the transitions a bit, kind of try to smooth things out, and it's in a pretty good way. So what's happened here is this was so limited, so compressed. I think it was like something like -4 LUFS. So I've had to bring it down like almost 5 dB to make it the same volume as the other tracks, and it sounds like shit because everything's just slammed. I'm not talking about your songwriting or your production. It's just like so over compressed, everything's distorted. The vocal that's coming in at the start is just all crunchy, and and that can be done in a good way, but so when you're using like saturation and distortion to make things sound gritty and whatnot, the best way to do that is with like contrast. So you'd do it to some elements and not to others. So you'd have like some clean sounding elements and then some really crunchy, gritty sounding elements. And that creates a balance and also allows the track to feel, or allows the gritty elements to sound gritty because there's something to compare them to, which is sounding more clean. What you've done here, I'm not sure how much saturation is on the elements, but the amount of limiting that you've added to the track is just like oversaturating everything. I'm not sure if this is just like I guess it's just like a work in progress sketch. I'll just take all that limiting off. I can't really give too much feedback about it because I can't hear what's going on too much. I would say that, yeah, it sounds like a pretty rough sketch. I think you've got some cool ideas. Try putting it into a proper arrangement because you've got like a lot happening in a very short space of time here. Yeah. Keep that in mind, guys. If you send stuff in that's super overcompressed, there's only so much feedback I can give about it because I can't really hear what's going on. Interesting sound design there. So I think this has got potential to be really cool. I really like what you've done there with that. It creates so much tension and interest, the way that things are in different timings, and it all builds up. But it's a little bit underwhelming when it drops in. And I think, you can see here on the frequency spectrum, the kick's really loud. The bass is not that loud. The mid-range is really loud. The hats are quite harsh, but it's not smooth. Everything's just kind of like... So especially with the mid-range, I think you've got a lot of elements in there, and they're all kind of competing for space, which is just making the track sound a bit muddy and a bit kind of... it's like it's got a lot of energy in there, but not in a cohesive way. And I think that's just about finding the balance between the different elements. It sounds like a lot of the things are also quite down the center. So when you've got a lot of musical things going on, it can be really helpful to like kind of pan some things left and right and just give everything space like that in the mix as well. And also try to avoid things that are occupying the same frequency range playing at the same time. That doesn't mean they can't play at the same time like in the timeline, but if they're playing like over the top of each other at the same time in the timeline in the same frequencies, then it just gets a bit chaotic. Really cool track, man. I think if you can sort out the mix a bit and get it sounding just a bit more smooth, and just get the beat kind of sitting a bit higher, and the melody sitting a bit lower. Give everything some space, and I think that's going to be super, super sick. It's got kind of like, I guess, I don't know, it's not really my sound, but it's like got kind of Disclosure-y type vibes to it. I like it. Nice textures and little details in this already, but not too much. It's still kind of rolling, and they're just kind of there, happening as little ear candies. I think you could have brought that tambourine in a bit more boldly there. I would have expected a bass line to drop in there at 1 minute. Have you maybe bounced this with the bass line muted? I'm just wondering. In the subs, there's really just the kick, you know, and even the low mids. If I turn this to a more steep filter, bass line comes in here at 2 minutes. There's like some really cool creative production going on in this. Where's my bass line? Right, you need to sort that out, because this has got a cool vibe. It's very original sounding. I think it can really work, but this is like unplayable without the bass line. It's just, for most of it, it's just a kick. And then when the bass line comes in, it sounds really cool. So figure that out, I think. starting to be a lot going on very early on in the track. I think some of the stuff could be probably saved for a bit later. And that dong dong is a cool sound, but it's maybe a bit loud. It kind of comes across a little bit obnoxious is not the right word, but like it could be more subtle and kind of, because the beat sounds a bit more subtle, a bit more cool and subdued, and I think that sound could be the same. That's done really well, how you kind of build up that lead with the delay and then drop it back in without. Just simple stuff, but works really well. So now having it do this here, kind of, you could have it just a bit more subdued and then in the break you use it a bit more, make it a bit louder, open it up a bit more, and it's kind of like it creates a moment, but the listener's already familiar with it because it's been happening throughout the track, and then it gives it this time to shine, takes the attention, and then goes back to the groove. So I think you've got two vocals there that are very disconnected. I would personally choose one or the other, because they're not really, they sound to me like they could be in totally different tracks. That was quite underwhelming there. I don't know what's happening here, but so I mean, I think I know what you're trying to do. I think you're trying to create more tension, but it just doesn't quite work. I would either drop back into this here. So let's just delete that. I might have to loop it. I might have to warp it. Okay, perfect. 124.
Let it wash over you.
See, it sounds a bit more natural to me. I really like that bit where you've used the just thing. Yeah, I mean, you've got some really cool production techniques in there. some really cool atmosphere and stuff going on, and it's got a vibe. I think just focus in on that vibe, decide what you want it to be. Still getting over a bit of jet lag and that kind of thing. Yeah, just focus in what you want to be, on what you want the vibe to be, and get the unnecessary things out of there. Yeah, good stuff. Ian C. Nice solid beat from the start. You could probably have brought that in here after 8 bars instead of here. So with this, like, a delayed stab on the downbeat. I would use it half as much, so it's going to extend out the loop and make it feel less loopy. So you've got like your drums kind of changing up and increasing in intensity here. I would build them down a bit. Also try to find things that you can add, just like one shots or little fills, crashes, whatever, to make it feel less loopy. Like it feels like, I mean, it is essentially very loopy. So that's fine. Loopy music's cool. I make loopy music. I like loopy music. I play loopy music, but you want to try and fool the listener into believing that it's not as loopy as it maybe is. Using automation, using some effects, some fills, you know, dropping the kick out every now and then, using some double kicks, just doing some, keep things changing, but the foundation kind of staying the same. Really good start, man. I think this is, you've sent in a few tracks previously, and this is definitely the most developed and sounds like the most cohesive. So I think just keep working on it. Use some reference tracks, especially for the arrangement, and just keep trying to find ways of making everything change, you know, create some, it's very linear. So you want energy to be rising and falling, and that's going to make it a lot more interesting. Right, we're going to have to start speeding things up a bit to get through these, I think. How are we doing? Yeah, maybe a little faster. My Man from Soul, Downpour. Let's jump into this. It's probably going to be really good because they generally always are from this man. really good. So in a bunch of the feedbacks for other people's tracks, I said like keep it like building up, easy, like, keep it interesting and things happening. And this just does it so well. All of his tracks do it so well. But it's kind of like enough to keep you engaged and to kind of hint at where it's going, but it's not giving away too much, and it's just kind of like building up the energy and building up the tension, and then I'm sure something is going to happen. So that new element works really well. It feels to me like it's, compared to the rest of the mix, it feels a bit too dry. Like everything else in the mix sounds like it's really in the same kind of space, and that one feels a bit like how to explain it? It feels like the rest of the mix is here, and that element's like here, which is cool. But I think just bring it a bit further back in the mix. But really cool. I was just thinking like need something to answer that lead sound, and it comes straight in, you know. His tunes are always kind of doing that when I'm thinking like, oh, you could use something here, and then he just does it. It's really, really solid producer, this guy. Definitely one to look out for. Go check out his Beatport and his Spotify. I feel like you could have a bit more low frequency going on in here. Like if you look at the frequency spectrum, everything's really, really high cut. And I feel like in a club that's gonna create a kind of slightly unbalanced feeling, like, and without any energy. I don't know. I think you can have moments where you take away a lot of the low mids and stuff, but I think it's also really important to be conscious of the fact that what that does to the energy on a dance floor. So if you're going to do it, you want to do it like really purposefully and create a moment from it. If you're going to kind of like pull out the low end to create tension, I think just having a little bit more going on in that low mids, kind of, rather than having this kind of sharp cut at like 150 hertz, have it kind of more tailing off in terms of the low end energy, so that it's still kind of there. There's still something for people to groove to in a club. Because it makes some of these lead sounds a bit thin when there's nothing to counterbalance them. When you're playing it with the beat and the bass, they sound fine, but when they're just playing with on their own and there's no sub or anything, they start to sound a bit too harsh. Really solid stuff. Always like really really unique sound selection and cool melodies. Just definitely go check out his stuff, guys. Really, really well done. This is awesome. You can see I've turned it down quite a bit to get it to the same loudness as the other tracks. I would say not. I don't know. It's a personal taste thing. For me, the vocals verging on too loud, but that's a very small critique. This is really cool and really well executed. Great production, great sound selection, cool vibe. So you can hear how all those sections are actually quite different, but the elements are well selected and well utilized, so it kind of doesn't sound like bad or wrong or something. It sounds like it's supposed to be like that, and it really works. But having all those sections with kind of different elements and different levels of energy really helps to just keep it interesting and keep it exciting. Jayos Rainstick. I mean, this kind of sounds like I just started it in the middle of a track. So I don't know, maybe you're supposed to have like a intro before that, but something dissonant going on about those chords. I could be wrong. I don't have the best ear when it comes to harmony like that, but something sounds a bit off about the chords. I don't know. Normally there's someone in the chat that is a lot more in tune with that kind of thing than I am, that can probably shed some light. Also just, yeah, a bit loud and aggressive, I would kind of pull down some of the mid-range on those piano chords. Like if I go like this, you know, I'm doing it to the whole track, so it's not really gonna it just sounds a bit more okay, yeah. It just sounds a bit more smooth and listenable if I pull out a bunch of this kind of mid-range stuff. So, okay, we've had some confirmation, the chord progression's out of key, so I mean there's plenty of information online about making simple chord progressions. It doesn't sound like a crazy technical chord progression that you've got, so just figure out what's going on, what it should be, and then figure it out, and you'll be able to fix that up pretty easily. I think, like, despite the harmonic issues and some of the arrangement issues, like, yeah, there's not really an intro to speak of. I would bring those chords in much later in the track, and but you've got a cool vibe going on here. You've got cool drums, the vocals really nice. Overall, I think if what you're going for could be really cool if it was executed a bit more thoughtfully. So just sort out the harmony of your track, get things in key, and then work on the arrangement a bit to make it a bit more playable. And there's also, you know, the arrangement seems quite monotonous, like that's nice that you put something new in there. But yeah, just work on the arrangement and create, like, the way to think about arrangement is about how people are going to, like, interact with your music, right? How are they going to, like, if they're listening to it in a club, how's it going to make sense? How's it going to, like, bring them up and bring them down and keep them like interesting, keep them guessing, but keep it feeling natural. So yeah, it's and I think the best way to learn that is by referencing. That's how I've learned it. I mean, DJing really helps as well, because you can actually see in real time how the crowd's responding to different things. But if you're not a DJ, or you are a DJ but you're not playing gigs, or not playing the gigs that you want to, that where you think your music would be appropriate, then just watch DJ sets on YouTube and check out how their tracks, how the tracks they play work in the context of their dance floor, you know, how the crowd responds. Boiler rooms are good because people are playing quite wide variety of different sounds, and while the crowd may be kind of playing it up for the camera, you can see generally like where authentic responses happen. It's like, I get that that it's supposed to be kind of minimal, but I feel like there's just a little bit missing in the drums for this to be interesting enough. And again, you've kind of like yeah, there is a lot of click on that kick, Dunk. Yeah, I mean, you've like brought in a lot of stuff, but it's not even over like a really solid foundation. I think like if you just mute everything, and let's just have a listen here. Yeah, right. Okay, so get something like here, loop it, turn off everything in your track, and then turn on your kick, and then turn on your hi-hats, and then turn on like your open hi-hat, and then listen to that and go like, does this sound cool? And I don't think the answer is going to be yes. It's not that it's like a terrible kick or a terrible hi-hat or anything like that. They're just not interacting well with each other. It just sounds like a kick and a hi-hat and a open hi-hat. So what I would then suggest doing is replacing those sounds. Just cycle through a bunch of different sounds using hot swap on your the way I program drums, in case you haven't seen in my videos, is I use Simpler, and I program it in MIDI, and then what I do is I play it and I hit hot swap here on the sample, and then I, in real time while it's playing, okay, I have to warp this, what are we at, 128. Okay, so let's just say, I'm going to put in here just a 16th note hi-hat, yeah. Oops. Okay, so we're going to go like that. So what I would do is then hit hot swap and listen along. So then let me go to that hi-hat. Hey. Well, that's not helpful, is it? Let's hit hot swap. So I wouldn't choose that hi-hat. This is, which one did we start with? We started with that. I would choose that over that. That sounds terrible to me. But in the context, playing along with your stuff, it sounded the coolest, right? I mean, I'm going to listen to a couple, but I think that's the best way to choose your drum sounds. Then you can kind of listen to what's going on and what works with what else is going on. And then you're not just guessing, you know? Anyway, I think you've got a lot, it sounds like you've got a lot of cool ideas going, but it's also a bit chaotic. Or actually, maybe if it was on like a more solid foundation, it would be really good. I think some of these synths are playing, it's starting to get a bit muddy. Everything's kind of playing in the same range around here, like these kind of like mid frequencies. So try to have some of these sounds like playing up higher or something like that, and that's going to give like more energy and more kind of excitement, and it's going to leave space for the kind of tough mid-range sounds. So again, the snare is coming in here. It's just almost, it's creating excitement, but there's nothing up here, you know, there's nothing to... So when that thing came in the high register, that really punched through the track. Cool. I mean, yeah, it sounds like you've got some good elements in there, but you've got a bit of work to do, I would say. Albuquerque. I think you could probably bring in the sub, like maybe have it there, but keep the low end filtered out until maybe a minute or so. Something sounded a little bit off about that melody. Like one of the notes could have been, yeah, I don't know. I think it's almost what I wanted to hear, but I think one of the notes was a bit off or something. So I realise I haven't said anything positive about this yet, but it's really awesome track. I am really enjoying it. I'm just trying to quickly give some feedback about things that I think weren't right. In general, I think it's like really awesome. I love the vibe. I love the drums and everything. I love the bass, even though I suggested it should come in a bit later. I think that sub thing that you've got happening there is really cool, but if you play that on a big sound system, it just seems so loud compared to everything else that it's probably just gonna like wash everything away. But if you're not familiar with him, Albuquerque's an amazing DJ, really big in Brazil, resident from Warung Club, so he knows what he's doing, and yeah, but I think like I can imagine how that would work in a club, and it would be awesome. But I think I can also just hear the subwoofers going, you know. So I think just tone it down a little bit. Your soul of its cage. Okay, let's listen into that.
You lie, did you ever not have tried? Ever made you lie? Your soul of its cage. Ever made you lie? Did you ever not have tried? Ever made you lie?
That drop was so sick. I think I like this where it drops into the vocal and just has the vocal, but I feel like it's just a bit too long. Like something else needs to happen to help start bringing up the energy. Yeah, I'm not sure quite what that is, but it just feels like it goes on a little bit too long. There's plenty of space to have the vocal against the beat here. Like it doesn't sound like over the top, or like it's, you know, often there can be, if you put the vocal over the beat, it can disappear, but I think there's definitely space for it to be coming through. So I like the effect that happens when you take everything away and just have the vocal with some pads or something, but I think that just happens a bit too long here, so maybe figure out a way to then start building things up a bit sooner. But really good. Boleto, my man, what's up, bro? Rajesh, let's see. Always got high hopes for Rajesh's tunes. Straight from the first beat, really good. That background noise is very intense, but let's see what happens. I think it's possibly quite a bit too loud to be giving the atmospheric effect that you want. It's more in front, a bit too in front, I would say, for my taste anyway. have like taken out a couple of those little kicks. So I just take out those 4 kicks there. Have you taken out that? Yeah, I think it sounds way better without the really loud background noise. Nice, love that atmosphere there, and like really fits in the track but introduce something totally new and unexpected at the same time. I guess it's like a flute or maybe some kind of Arabic woodwind sound, but really nice. And I like the fact that you're using that kind of thing with still like a pushing beat. Like I really like a lot of the organic house stuff, but it's like unless you're playing to a bunch of people on a beach on Hurl on ketamine or something, like it's just too, maybe it's just for me, but it just feels a little bit too chill. Whereas this I feel like has kind of like almost that like organic house vibe, but with a solid pushing groove. So good, man. This is really, really, really good. Okay, so I can see we've only got 15 so minutes left, so I'm going to just try and give like a couple of quick tips to each one of these next tracks. And yeah, I'm sorry if you're at the end here and you're not getting the full deal, but I do say every time we do one of these that it's first in, first served, and if the more people that send them in, the more the more important it is to get it in quickly. I'll just take this moment to say that I've got a Discord for patrons pretty much ready to go. I'm just not an expert on Discord, and I'm looking for a couple of people who would like to be moderators or admins on the Discord. So if you've got like experience with Discord and administrating it or moderating or whatever, let's chat. Maybe write me on Instagram or something, and that's going to be like another added value way for people to hopefully like the community. There's about fluctuates between kind of 550 people on Patreon, and if maybe even half of them are active in Discord, then it could be really cool, and a way that you guys can give each other feedback, because I mean there's people in the chat that are giving really amazing solid feedback as well. So just creating a community that you guys can get value and benefit from is the idea. Anyway, let's jump into this. Oops. Solid funky groove. So that bass, I mean, you could, yeah, it's just gonna, in a club, it's just gonna sound just way over the top. I think two things you want to do is, one, make it quite a bit quieter, and then also maybe put some limiting or something just directly onto that bass sound, so you can have it a bit louder, but that it's not going to just be blowing out the limiter every time it plays. Yeah.
Move your feet like this, like this. Move this, this. Move your feet
I like that melody, that little thing coming in.
like this. Like this.
Solid groover here. I think it sounds like the start of something that could be really cool.
Move your feet like this.
Like the drums need a bit more going on, I feel. What are we at? 1, 2, 3.
Is this something you're gonna get?
Alright. Move your feet like this. Like this. Move your feet like this.
See there with just top loop on top.
Move your feet like this. Like this. Move your feet like this. Like this.
But really cool vibe, man. I think you've got the start of something really awesome there. That top loop's available to buy from my sample pack on House of Loop, Underground Shades of House. Very nice vibe. Sounds like that music's coming in quite early in the track though. I would save that until after you've got a bass line in.
Don't make me wait. Going deep, deeper. Don't make me wait. Don't make me wait. Don't make me wait. Drown by the way.
What happened to that bass?
I can be the answer.
I think for this classic house style, you want a bass that's a bit more groovy rather than the sustained kind of bass. And the sustained bass you've got quite low. It works really well in that breakdown there, but
Don't make me wait.
when you drop back, I think having something, like some kind of punchy FM sound or something, but with some of the, but still kind of subby. So something that's like subby but got some grit to it.
The transportation. Deep, deeper. Going in your heart and in your soul. Going deep. Don't make me wait.
Yeah, real cool vibe there. I think just change up the bass, get it something that's a bit more syncopated against the kick. Will give it a bit more push, a bit more energy, and sound a bit more like you would maybe expect it to. So I think those melodies are in a bit too early and with a bit too much brightness. You want to find a way of introducing them a bit more subtly, don't? So I would suggest like kind of flipping this around quite a bit, building up the drums before you start introducing such a in front melodic sound. It's not to say that you can't start with that, but I think you need to start building up those drums because it's really...
Love is alive today, so we will speak only of love. There will be only love on tongue and lip and in heart and thought. There will be only love, only love.
The vocal's a bit loud, I would say, but I like really, really cool vibe going on here, man.
Only love. There will be
Your comment says sounds like summer. I would say the same thing for your track. It's really cool. It's got a really nice vibe. I think just what I would do is go back to the drawing board a little bit with the drums and build them up. Get maybe just get the drums sounding more solid, more kind of interesting, and then
there will be heart. There will be love.
I like the length of the hat, to be honest. It gives it this cool, like old school vibe. It kind of, in a way, it's quite different. But if you check out Steve Bugg's track, I think is it called Summer Haze on Poker Flat. It came out last summer with a vocal from Ali Love, I believe. But it's giving me that kind of vibe, quite different. That one's got a bit more push and like acid riff and stuff, but it's just giving me the same kind of vibe. I think you could look at the drums on that, and yeah.
And in heart and thought, there will be only love.
I don't think that riff is necessary. You could maybe have it as it's definitely not working with the vocal, but you could maybe have it in like a bridge section where you cut out a bunch of the stuff and then have that as just something different to break things up, and then go back to the regular melody groove kind of thing. All right, Jolana, practice makes perfect. That's fast, eh? Yeah, the vibraphone dunk. So in that break there, I think you want to like create a bit more dynamics than just pulling out the kick and having everything stay the same, you know? You can add some reverb on things, you can bring some more elements out, you can gradually cut away the bass while opening up the cutoff a little bit, that kind of thing. You know, just do a bit more there. Not add more things, just do more with what you've got. Dunk, that's funny that I said the same thing last time. I don't know. I may not be right, but at least I'm consistent. Really great bass sound on this, by the way, Joe. Really like that. Very nice vibe on these synths, and really cool the way that you brought them in slowly.
It was something that we dreamed about.
Really cool vibe. I think the hi-hat that you've got going, the 16th note hi-hat, you could maybe try putting a sidechain on it or something, or just get a bit of variation in it. It sounds really, really linear the way that you've got it going. It kind of, yeah, it just doesn't seem to let up. And I think you've got like a really groovy track going here. So I think you could just get a bit more interest in that. Maybe add in a bit of like randomized panning, something like that. Try using some of the parameters on simpler, like the pan randomization you can use. You could turn on the filter and use the LFO. If you set this to the noise or random, and then use the filter a bit, or you could use the pitch a little bit, and you can, what you do is just turn these up. We've got a 16th note hi-hat here, right? Right, so just in pitch. So it just creates a bit more variation and groove. Obviously you want it to be subtle, not like what I was doing, but I was just trying to accentuate it to show you. Or even have that hi-hat, bring it down a bit, have another hi-hat that's doing some more kind of movement and stuff going on. So you've got the intensity from that hi-hat, but then with something that's interesting underneath. Make sure the sounds are a bit different from each other so that they're complementing each other, not like competing.
It wasn't like you had to spend hours of every day practicing your instrument the way you would with a violin.
But totally solid stuff, man. Yeah, you've done really well on this one. Again, another regular submitter. That's not really the right word, is it? But Joe is regularly submitting tracks for these, and this feels like a marked improvement on some of the other stuff. It feels like really, really solid track. Contributor would be the right word. Thanks, Dunk. That didn't quite. That sounded so good. You just want to just go back to the beat, man. Forget all this bullshit. Just go back to the fucking beat. You know, like that. You almost had it there. Don't overcomplicate it. None of this crap. Back to the. This vocal, the kind of spoken word vocal that you've got in the background, it's just going to be lost, especially when this gets louder. So you either need to, if you want to have it, you need to bring out some of those mid-range frequencies to make space for it, or kind of have it in a place where, I don't know, you just need to make some space for it. That 1 1 1 sound is really cool. I like that type of thing, but this is quite high in the mix. It's quite dry. It's the same every time. It's not doing anything. So after a while, it just gets a bit like annoying. So if you can find a way to like take it out sometimes, put it back in, or make it a bit more subtle, or make it change a bit, or a combination of any of those suggestions. Yeah, even just like putting a delay on it so that sometimes it's kind of like changing, getting a bit more crazy, and then it comes back to the original, maybe some reverb on it as well. But that, like, I don't mean this in any kind of disrespectful way, but that was one of the most disappointing drops that I've heard on this stream, because I was vibing on that and it didn't deliver what I wanted to hear. What I wanted to hear is in your track, so you just have to get out of your own way, make it hit, you know. Keep it simple. It's a simple style that you're going for, so just don't try to be too fancy with it. You could really use some kind of percussion in here by this stage of the track. I feel like it's maybe just not enough going on to keep you. It just feels like a loop. And there you go. Bring that kind of atmosphere in earlier, and then build up the drums with that in the background. Solid bass line there. So that little kind of scream thing there is a really good example of what I've said in a couple of other tracks about having things like in front and in your face, but not overdoing it. Like that's really in the mix, and it's adding energy, and it's like creates a moment there, but it's not like over the top where it sounds harsh. Or yeah, really well done. These Pintaro brothers have been sending in tracks for quite a while as well, and this feels like one of the best that they've sent, that they've contributed. Love that like offbeat delayed like clave or rim shot or something there.
If there's a cure for this, I don't want it.
Vocals out of time, or it's just being too stretched, and it's too obvious. I think the track that you've built here deserves better from the vocals, and it's way too loud.
I don't want it. I don't want it. You want it. If there's a remedy, I run from it. From it. If there's a cure for
Get a vocalist to do something, like use that as maybe a reference or something, but it just, I mean, it's not out of time, I don't think. Maybe it is, but it doesn't go with the groove, and I can tell you that much. And what you've got here is like a really solid groove, a really solid track. So yeah, that vocal I feel like is
I run from it. From it.
So that waka 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 sound is really cool, a bit wacky. I would bring it in, maybe like have it come in here at the when it kind of the kick drops in, and then just bring it out. It doesn't need to stay in there the whole time. I don't think it's interesting to have it there, but it's not adding to the groove. It's like more like ear candy. If it
If there's a remedy, if there's a cure for if there's a remedy from me, if there's a cure for this, I don't want it.
yeah, man, when you put that vocal over the groove there, it kind of sounds jarring.
If there's a remedy, I run from it. If there's a cure for this,
Just not, yeah. Anyway, enough about that. 'Cause, it's disappointing because you've done something that's really cool here, but you're in a great position. You've got a really cool track. All you need to do is ditch the vocal and get something cool in there. Just don't worry about it being. Or I think it would be better if it's something that people don't know, that's obvious, having something that's like, original or just a bit more understated I think will do more than having this like recognizable sample. Very solid dubby house. Yeah, really well done. So there's an example of the kind of silence thing being done really well. You build up to it, everything delays out a bit, it creates tension, but then things start to happen and it's not too long. So I would maybe you could drop it back in there. Let's see what this BPM is. M24. So maybe chop that. I don't know. It sounds a bit whack like that. Let's try that and crossfade it. Obviously that screws up your timing, but I think that amount of anticipation feels about right for the track. If I had to give you one piece of advice for the kind of, it sounds really good, but I think maybe there's a bit too much going on in the hats, or you could try like pulling in the envelope of some of the hats. It sounds like they're a bit too brushy, a bit too open. Yeah, I don't know. I think that like just tightening the hats up a bit might help to really bring everything together, but really solid track. All right, I'm yawning. That means, yeah, it's Sunday, and that it's probably time to go. So thanks everyone for sending in the tracks. Thanks everyone for making an effort to make them downloadable and sending the correct links. Remember, if you're sending a SoundCloud link, you need to hit share on SoundCloud and copy that link. If you just copy the URL and it's private, then I can't download that. Yeah, so also remember about Discord. If you're up for it, drop me an email or a message on Instagram or something, and I really want to get that going because I think it'll just add a lot of value for everyone in the community. And yeah, we'll be doing this again soon. So thanks everyone for submitting, and take it easy. Talk soon. And how do I stop this? I'm probably going to cut that bit out when I replay it. Well, who knows? We'll probably leave it in actually. I can't be bothered. All right, peace.